It would be very great and personal if you could say a few words about the law, modularly. By I mean that we would take 5 or 10 minutes out of it, and many times of this 5-minute blocks, and we would publish them. Say if you talk for 50 minutes, then in 10 5-minute blocks, and publish one each week, so they get to know a little bit more of all of this, of why is it important. Why is it that brings them to something more than they have already read? If I read all of your books, why should I read this, etc., etc.?
Right. Do you want to do it under a question and answer format, or do you want me to talk non-stop?
Well, if possible, I would start with you talking, and then if any of us feel that there is something critical that we missed, then we would just ask that. But if you could really get in the flow, I want them to see that energy of all this coming out.
Okay, fine, all right. Are you ready?
Are you ready? I am, Julie. Julie is ready. We are all ready. The computer is ready, so we are up and running.
All right. I will start with I want to say that this booklet on the law is the one that is the most important for me. I come from a black sheep mode. I was born a very black sheep, and anything or anybody that I had to obey, it would prompt some kind of reaction for me. So the law do the same thing, and I had problems with obeying the law all my life, all my childhood, and when I became older, I started obeying my conscience instead of the law or the rule or what I had to do. When I was in school, for instance, I fought the authority, external authority, all the time, until one day, and they were very, very patient, but one day they just had enough, and I was fired when I was 14. I was a dropout from the age of 14 to 16. I worked for a couple of weeks, realized that I would never do that in my life, to work from 9 to 5 like everybody. You take the bus at the same time as everybody else, you come back home at the same time, you do this, you go for lunch at the same time, so the roads are crowded, the sidewalks are crowded, there's always a crowd. Well, 2 weeks were enough for me to realize that that's not what I wanted in life. So I did other little jobs, but it just didn't mean anything to me. I finally decided that, well, better get a diploma, and then I will be my own boss, my own master, my own boss.
Yeah.
And I can do what I want. So that's why I went back to school and got the diploma as a medical doctor. My parents were, my father was in the pharmaceutical industry, and medicine is what I knew, so that's the diploma I got. And when I practiced, then I started practicing medicine, and I believed in medicine when I graduated from medical school. I just believed it 100%. I thought that everybody would be in perfect health by year 2000. So I was a little bit wrong, but it turned out not to be what I thought. But I started, I'm a person who always questioned. I always question things. And when something doesn't make sense, I go deeper into what's going on there. What's wrong? Why do we do that if it doesn't make sense? So that's how I became not a rebellious person. I'm not a rebellious person by nature, but I'm sort of a questioning person, and it's got to make sense. If it doesn't make sense, there's something wrong, I have to understand and find out. So that's how I find out lots of things in medicine, and that I finally understood the system. It took me, at last I understood the system. It took me 20 years to understand the system. And when it became clear to me, I wrote the book, The Medical Mafia. So that was, again, it was not a book to criticize, or to demolish or to fight. It was not I was not in that mood. I was in the mood of giving out the information, informing people, just so that you know how it works and what is done to you when you go to a doctor. You do not go and see somebody who cares for you. You go and see somebody who obeys the industry, the pharmaceutical industry, who was taught medicine by the pharmaceutical industry for them to make profit. So I denounced it, but not to criticize, just to let people know and come with a solution. I'm a solution person. I'm not, a denunciation is not my big deal. I need to find a solution. So the solution was to become our own masters, because I realized, and that's the key of my whole process, of my whole evolution. I asked myself, this system, medical system, is sick. This medical system is sick. Doctors are not happy with it. Patients are not happy with it. Government find it too expensive. And yet, it still goes on. So, where's the problem? What's the problem that makes a system go on when the major actors do not like it and criticize it? Well, I realized that the major actor was not those that we think. The major actors were big money. Big money was running the system. All right, so I said the system is sick because big money runs it. Who can change the system? What can we do? That was my question. The question was, what can we do? And I started, well, where's the real power? And I realized that the real power was the patient. It was not big money. Big money was running the show, but the ones with the real power are the patients. If patients stop going to the doctor, there is no medical system at all.